Right now, I would like to hand over our meeting to our President, Rick Rubenheimer. Over to you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Madam Sergeant at Arms, Muchamanyangabana. We are admitting a few more, so we're up to 14 participants. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Mariswe Toastmasters. Our Sergeant at Arms needs to admit any more people that are waiting.
Hey everyone, hey Judith, welcome back.
Hi.
Yes, you're muted at the moment, Judith, but you'll get a chance to introduce yourself.
That's
Right, our VP is arriving. Good, welcome everybody. Thank you for being on time or very close. Welcome to Mariswe Toastmasters meeting number 215 on Tuesday, the 23rd of February, 2021. I'm Rick Rubenheimer. I'm current president of Mariswe Toastmasters until the end of June. I would like to go around the room and ask you just to introduce yourselves, tell us if you're doing a role this evening, and perhaps something interesting very briefly about yourself. So I'm a civil engineer by training, and tonight I am evaluating a speech, in fact an icebreaker by one of our new members. Let's go on, seeing she's co-host, to Muchamanyangabana. To introduce yourself again, please. Mucha.
Thank you, Rick. Yes, as Mr. President has said, my name is Muchamanyangabana. I am the Sergeant at Arms here at Mariswe Toastmasters for this year until the end of the year. And I will be presenting a speech later on in the evening, and I'm a member of Mariswe Toastmasters. Thank you.
Thank you, Mucha. Welcome. Next alphabetically in line is our Vice President Education, Busisiwe Nte. Busi. And yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Busisiwe. I'm the VPE of Mariswe Toastmasters Club. I'm also the table topics master for tonight, and I'm looking forward to a very great meeting this evening.
Thank you, Busi. Next, we have Caroline Mokwena. Now, I have been asked for those who are either visiting Toastmasters or guests, please to tell us if you're a visiting Toastmaster, which club you're from, and if you're a guest or a visiting Toastmaster, please tell us who invited you. So Caroline Mokwena, you're next.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Hi, everyone. My name is Caroline. I am visiting from the Vodacom Midrand Toastmasters, and I am the toast this evening.
Welcome, Caroline from Vodacom. Next, I have Edith Nkosi. Edith.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Edith Nkosi. I'm the Vice President membership of Gold Reef Toastmasters, and I got the invite from Ineas. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Edith. Next, we have a newcomer to our club, Emmanuel Gadasu. Emmanuel.
Yeah, Emmanuel Gadasu from...
You're muted, Emmanuel. Not sure what happened there, but please unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself. Can you unmute yourself? Let's see if I can do it for you. No.
Gam, she's right there looking at me, you know. And I'm glad to be part of this meeting tonight.
We missed the beginning of your introduction. Do it again, please.
Rick,
All right.
Rick, I think it might be you because we all heard it.
Oh, all right, then fine, no problems. Thank you, Natalie.
All right.
Great, thank you, Emmanuel. Welcome.
Thank you.
Next, I have Enias Chingwe, DTM. Enias.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. As he rightfully said, my name is Enias Chingwe. I'm a DTM. I joined the Mariswe Toastmasters in 2013, and since then I've never looked back. Today, I'll be steering the ship. I'll be your MC Toastmaster. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. President.
Welcome, Enias. Next, we have Gamuchurai Mutezo, Gamu.
Good evening, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Gamuchurai Mutezo, a proud Mariswe Toastmasters member, also the Vice President of Membership. Now, I'm in a bit of trouble today. I told Emmanuel that if he actually made it, I might just consider marrying him. So we might see our very first Toastmasters wedding happening. So much for being VPM. And tonight, I'll also be evaluating a speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Gamu. Talking about making rash promises. But I did notice it was hedged around by various maybes, so maybe not. And then it gives me great pleasure to welcome back to us our third DTM, and somebody whom we haven't seen for a long time, my wife, Judith Taylor. Judith, please introduce yourself. You need to unmute yourself.
Hi, I'm now back to us. I'm clear. It's quite new all the way. Looking forward to being a Toastmaster and fully after it every day. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you, Judith, and welcome. Karen Strabos, you're next on my list. Karen.
Hi everyone, I'm Karen Strabos. I'm the current VPPR, which is quite a mouthful, but I manage all the things on the website and on social media. And tonight I'm evaluating Mpendulo's speech.
Thank you and welcome, Karen. And next on our list, we have one of our new members, Leighton Simbanagavi. Leighton.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Leighton Simbanagavi. I'm the newest member of this club, and tonight I'll be ice-breaking. Thank you.
Welcome, Leighton. Please see if you can show your video for your speech. I have another member, Mpendulo Geninza next. Mpendulo.
Good evening, everyone. I'm a proud member of Mariswe Toastmasters for the past 5 years, and tonight I'll be delivering a speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Mpendulo. And next, Natalie Smith. Natalie.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Natalie. I am a member of Mariswe Toastmasters, and I'm the current secretary until the end of this Toastmasters year. I am in this meeting from an unusually sunny and warm London, and I'm looking forward to a good meeting tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie, for sticking with the club, if not with the country. Next, I have Nosipo Mtalani. Nosipo.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, my name is Nosipo Mtalani. I'm not a member. I was invited by Mpendulo. Looking forward to this evening's engagements. Thank you.
Welcome, Nosipo. Good to see you. And following on my list, I have Sibongile Mtueko. Nosipho.
Thank you so much, Rick. My name is I am visiting from North Riding Club. I'm the VP there. And tonight I'm going to be the timer. One important or exciting thing that you said we must share tonight is that I'm a mother. Thank you.
Sorry, we missed that. We lost your sound.
Say again, Sibongile, if you don't mind.
Can you hear me now, Rick?
That's better. Yes, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Sibongile Mtueko from North Riding Club. I'm the VP there. And tonight I will be the timer for tonight's meeting. And what I shared was I'm very excited because I'm a mother of a former matriculant this year. So it's a very exciting time for me. Thank you.
Congratulations. And from the former, we assume that he or she passed. So congratulations. Tanaka Mwafuli, you're next. Tanaka.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. My name is indeed Tanaka Mwafuli, and I'm visiting from Fourth Dimension Toastmasters. This evening, I will be your grammarian and looking forward to the meeting. I was invited by DTM Enius, and that's about it from my side.
Tanaka, for those who don't know you, just tell us your position at Fourth Dimension, please.
I am the president of Fourth Dimension Toastmasters as well, until June.
Thank you. That's what I wanted you to say. we can't let you escape the glory, the limelight. And you and I need to have a bit of a conversation about contests at some point.
Indeed.
Right, but moving on to our last, but by no means least, and somebody that's no stranger to the club, Koliswa Rini. Koliswa.
Good evening to everyone. My name is Koliswa Rini. I am a member of the Bryanston Breakfast Toastmasters Club. I am here for a visit and a good session. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome. And somebody who's just joined us, could you please unmute yourself? Tell us where you're from, which club or which person has invited you. Itumeleng and Koani. Itumeleng. Over to you. Unmute yourself, please. I think Itumeleng's having a bit of technical difficulties there. Itumeleng, we can't hear you. Either you're not able to unmute yourself or there's some sort of technical issue. Okay, not a problem. We'll welcome anyway. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. And let's proceed. It gives me therefore great pleasure, having introduced everybody to the club, to hand control over to our Toastmaster of the evening, distinguished Toastmaster, Enius Chingwe. Enius, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Welcome all fellow Toastmasters and guests to our club, Mariswe Toastmasters. Tonight, I'll be your Toastmaster. I'll be steering the ship. And our theme is tick, tock, tick, tock. Time is ticking. Who would have thought that we are already in February? Almost end of the quarter. What are those goals that you had in mind? So this theme is informed and is here to remind us of the essence of time and what we need to do to go back and really look at our time, how effectively we are using our time or not using our time. So that's the reminder that I'll be sharing with you tonight on an occasion like this. As we all know, time does not wait for any man. Time cannot be redeemed. Once you lose it, it's gone. There are a lot of people that are not able to achieve their objectives, their goals, because they can't manage time. You hear somebody saying, I don't have time for Toastmasters. I don't have time for this. But then if you really look at that person, the reason why they don't have time is because they've not put a value to that activity. The moment you put a value, say, to Toastmasters, you always have time for Toastmasters. The moment you put value to going to the gym, you always have the time for that because you prioritize it. And once you do that, you automatically get time to do it because it's now on the priority list. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, as we proceed with our meeting, I want you to focus on this term, time management. How are you managing your time? What are those goals that you've said that you want to achieve by the end of the year? The quarter is almost gone. So ideally, you should have done a quarter of your objectives. Are you there? I'm afraid to say that even myself, I'm not yet there. I haven't done a quarter of what I intend to do this year. So it's also a reminder, as I'm sharing this, I'm also getting reminded to the essence of time management. As I'll be steering this ship, I'll be sharing the tips on how you can manage time, on how you can be effective in time management. But for me to steer this ship, I've got people that are assisting me in the cockpit to make sure that we reach our destination, which is basically for the meeting to be flawless. The team that I've got today includes our timekeeper, Swangile. Can you please give us the objectives of a role? Explain a bit about your role. Over to you, Swangile.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Time is ticking. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. My purpose for the timekeeper's role this evening is to time each speaker on the program and to provide reports on the time taken for each prepared speech, table topic speaker, and evaluators. I'm going to use visual backgrounds as my timing cards. When the speaker reaches the minimum time, I'll display a green color. When they reach their target time, they will see a yellow color. And when the speaker reaches the maximum time, I'll display the red color. And this will stay until the speaker has finished talking. This role is an opportunity for me to give clear instructions and manage time. My report, on the other hand, will assist you in improving your time management. Enjoy the meeting tonight, and back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Swangilo, for explaining your role. The next is our grammarian, Tanaka. Can you please explain your role?
Certainly, Mr. Toastmaster. Guests and visitors, as grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all the speakers, listening carefully to how they use the English language. I'll take note of proper good use of language, and I'll also take note of improper good use or improper use of the English language. At the end, I'll be able to give a report on all of the above. As grammarian, it is also my duty to introduce the word of the day. And the word of the day is associated with a theme of time, which is chronological. This means that following a specific order in which something occurs in. An example of how you can use the word of the day is, the entries are in chronological order. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Tanaka, for that. Now we've got the OR counter who will be giving us how we use the language is Edith. Edith Nkosi, can you please explain your role?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Ladies and gentlemen, my role today is to listen attentively to the filler words that are usually used, like or words that particular speakers like to use, which includes end, well, so, like, you know. So I'll be listening attentively to these filler words, and all I can say is just to pause and avoid using them as much as you can. So at the end of the meeting, I will give my report. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Edith. Just to remind you, you are not supposed to pick any OR from the Toastmaster. You can pick from any other person except the Toastmasters. Okay?
Noted.
Now we are coming to the Toast to Toastmasters, and it's going to be presented by Caroline Mokwena. I'm sure everyone has got their glass charged with something, water or what. Make sure your glass is charged as I hand over to Caroline for the Toast to Toastmasters.
Good evening, fellow guests and Toastmasters. Today, I've been given the task of giving a toast to Toastmasters International. As our Toastmaster mentioned today, that the theme is time is ticking. And the good thing about Toastmasters is that it helps us to set goals and to have a direction and a path for where we want to go. There is no time limit to how long you can be on your path or how long you want to take on that learning journey. However, if you don't have a specific goal, a specific time that you're working towards, then you're just walking around aimlessly. So keeping in mind that time is ticking, I'd like to encourage each and every one of us to kind of refocus on those goals and think about what it is that we want to achieve by the end of this Toastmasters year, making use of all the tools, the great and the amazing, wonderful tools that Toastmasters International gives to us. And with that, I would like to propose a toast to Toastmasters International.
Toastmasters
International.
Thank you so much, Caroline, for that toast and also reinforcing the essence of time management. Now we are going into the most exciting part, which is the speakers delivering their speeches. Just to give you an overview of the Toastmasters program in chronological order, we have the speakers, they deliver their speeches. Secondly, we then have a time where we do impromptu speaking, which is table topics, and then we have the evaluations where we give we give feedback to all the speakers. So this is the chronological order in which we craft our program to all those that have joined us. Tonight we've got 3 speakers, and I'm happy to announce that one of our new members will be delivering a speech. Layton Simbanegai, you'll be delivering his icebreaker. Before I ask the evaluator to give us the objectives of the speech, let me introduce Layton to you. Layton is an IT professional. He has worked within mining, banking, and consulting. In terms of time management, he uses a tool that is called IT Systems Management System, and this system allocates the roles, allocates the task, and it just works within within the system. That's what he does at work. Tonight, you'll be delivering his first speech, and the evaluator is none other than Mr. President, Rick Rubenheimer. Rick, can you please give us the objectives?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Yes, please. In Pathways, we talk about a purpose statement, and the purpose of the icebreaker is very simple. It is for the member to introduce himself to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speech. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Rick. As I said, Layton has decided to hit the ground running. He's taking advantage of the essence of time. His speech is titled, A Journey into My Career. Layton, over to you, A Journey into My Career.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster and everyone else. Today, I'm going to take you into a journey into my career. Being the third sibling in a family of 5, both my parents worked for a company in Zimbabwe called Triangle Sugar Limited. My father was an accountant and my mother was a state registered nurse. Triangle Limited is located in Chirezi, the south of Zimbabwe. In the environment we grew up, there were 4 classes of careers. The first being the general handyman or laborers. In that, no skill was required, just the presence to do the manual labor. The second class was the white collar professionals, also to include engineers. These are the people that we shared most of our time in the community. The third class was the senior management within the Triangle Limited environment. These were the ESCO members and other company executives. Then the fourth class were the farmers. These were enterprise farmers who owned ranches and were in their own class. No one knew or had enough information about them as they were purely segregated within their environment. So growing up in that environment, I grew to love and admire engineers. So at that tender age, I made a resolution that when I grow up, I was going to be an engineer. Time ticked. At 13, my parents decided to change jobs. So we moved to Harare. With the change in environment, bigger city, different types of challenges and different community, I also changed my career ambition to becoming a pilot. With a little bit of maturity, I started looking around. Fortunately, my neighbor, our neighbor, was a pilot. So I spent so much time with him whenever he was available to understand what is required, what does one need, what are the expectations, what are the pilot hobbies, and how do pilots live their life. So at 15, everything was set. The table was set for me. All the requirements, I already knew them. In my schoolwork, I had resolved to focus on mathematics, physics, and geography. And I was ready to go. As I finished high school, I applied to different private colleges in Zimbabwe to take up the pilot training, which I did the interviews and I passed. But came an obstacle because during that time, the quotation to complete the pilot training together with the required flight hours was around 500,000 Zimbabwean dollars, which was a very huge amount of money, considering that my parents were just middle class professionals. Reality checked in, and I had to count costs and fell for my second choice, which was computer science. I applied and enrolled for computer studies at Harare Polytechnic. I completed my certificate, enrolled for my diploma. Fortunately, as I was second year in my diploma program, I got an internship with Old Mutual. With a zeal and energy and drive, I worked hard during the internship, so I was offered a long-term contract. The zeal and energy that I have propelled me into different projects where I was assigned, and mostly I would work with specialists that came from different countries, namely from the UK and South Africa, to do specialized or subject matter IT activities and projects. With that, I grew so quick in knowledge and understanding. Then I started checking myself. I noticed that I had grown in the skill, but then the environment would not allow me to grow further. So with the interaction with international specialists and subject matter around me, I resolved that the only way to grow in this environment or in my career was to relocate to South Africa. 2007, I relocated. Fortunately, in my first month, I got the job as an IT engineer with MTN based in Fairlands. I did put my energy and zeal to it. And in 2 years, I got an offer with National Housing Finance Corporation as an IT specialist. There, I got fulfillment, and at the same time, compliance fell in. From 2009 to 2012, I was in the comfort zone. Reality checked in as I started seeing some of my colleagues now moving into management positions within IT. I started putting more time in growing the career again, more time in exploring new technologies, more time in engaging in seminars, exposing myself. In 2016, I changed jobs. I joined Eurasian Resource Group as a senior window engineer. Now as a man behind, because all my other colleagues of my age had moved into management, I had to put effort, I had to put time. The good thing about the environment was that I was mixing and mingling with international professionals. So it didn't take time to be noticed. Immediately, I got promoted into IT security specialist. I wrote a few papers and I engaged. I was doing a lot more and got noticed again and grew into information security lead. But still there was still a gap because I was a man behind. All my colleagues and close friends were already into IT senior management. I did put so much effort in advancement and got advanced at work to become an information security officer looking after Africa and Brazil, which is still a good advancement and growth in career. But still, I am a man behind compared to my other colleagues who are already in senior management positions. I am here a man with a degree, a man with specialized skills, a man who understands the environments. So I looked into the mirror and did a reality check on myself. What is missing in me? That was the question that I always ask myself every time. In this new position that I have, I could see that there is huge potential for me to get into not only senior IT management, but business executive management. So what is stopping me to pursue this? I'm strong technically. I'm strong mentally. I can engage, I understand concepts, business concepts, I understand the environment. But I am weak in presenting my concept to the business, in communicating at business level to non-technical senior executives. What do I need? The answer came in Mariswe Toastmasters. Here I am today, looking for that skill to improve my communication, to improve my leadership skills. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a journey into my career. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Thank you, all the listeners.
Let's give him an ovation, a standing ovation for that speech. Well done, Layton, for giving us a chronological life that you went through from young age to where you are in terms of your career. What it showed us is the essence of time. How can we become effective? We set goals and we follow through those goals. And throughout your speech, you showed us that, you know, this is what you wanted to do and you followed through. You wanted to be an IT engineer and you wanted to follow through. And right now you have really looked at yourself again and you see there's something missing. And you set another goal to be in Toastmasters so that you can become a proficient speaker. So that's the whole essence about time management. It's setting that goal and following through on that goal so that you achieve it. Well done for that. Our next speaker is Mpendulo, and it should be delivering from leadership development, introduction to Toastmasters mentoring. And the evaluator is Karen Strybos. Karen, can you please give us the objectives?
Great, thank you, Enias. The purpose of this project is for the member to clearly define how Toastmasters envisions mentoring. The purpose of the speech is for the member to share some aspect of a previous experience as a protege. Sorry? Sorry, Mpendulo?
No, I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought maybe I got the wrong evaluation form. Never mind. Mpendulo asked me to give a brief introduction to her speech. Mpendulo's experience reminds her of one of her favorite childhood stories, Jack and the Beanstalk. Jack, a poor country boy, trades the family cow for a handful of magic beans, which grow into an enormous beanstalk, reaching up into the clouds. Jack climbs the beanstalk and finds himself in the castle of an unfriendly giant. Mpendulo, all the best.
Before she comes on stage, I would like to introduce Mpendulo. Mpendulo is a scientist by profession, a mother of 3. She enjoys gardening. Her speech title is called In the Hands of a Mentor. In the Hands of a Mentor, Mpendulo, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and visitors. Unfortunately, I do not have a wonderful introduction on how I met with my mentor, because I happened to fall into the hands of a man that I consider to have had the true qualities of a mentor. I will give you a chronological account of how this happened. Meneer Kluter joined a highly skilled team which was imported by the government of Swaziland from the Republic of South Africa to come and construct a 46-kilometer road which would connect the villages to the nearby town and border post. This was not the first time that Meneer had traveled far and wide from home in Kurman, building roads and bridges. But little did he know that this time he was carrying in his hands Jack's magic beans. I, on the other hand, had just graduated and excited to be joining the working world. I was with a team of resident engineers who were appointed by the government to ensure that the contractors deliver on their contract as per the agreement with the government. That is how our paths met with Meneer Kluter, as both of us were assigned to look after the operations of the laboratory. The graduation hangover was soon gone, and I realized that I needed to now pay attention to my work. And Meneer Kluter caught my attention. He was a true son of the soil. When we went out to scout for soil, he would observe the vegetation, look at the rocks and the soil around. And then as we dug into the ground, he would take a sample into his hand, look at it, feel it. We could as well at that moment taken him to the laboratory and put him next to the equipment and gotten a similar result. His soft skills were just as meticulous. I'm not surprised, because a colored man who only had a standard 9 wouldn't have made it up that way, up in his career with just technical skills alone. Days went by, time ticked and ticked, and the seeds were being watered. Phase 1 of the project ended, and we started phase 2, which was to set up the premix lab. Meneer stepped back, and he allowed me to lead this phase of the project. The freedom that he had fought for and believed in was not only for him to enjoy, it was also for him to give back and allow himself to learn and to be led by a young Black girl. Our relationship was really special. And I noted the way that the children would be excited to see him as he passed by in his car on the road in the village. And I was marveled at the way that he would, when he saw the chief, the local chief, he would say, "Hey, Ngosamin," Yavusel, in his Afrikaner accent. The young engineers would come around him. It was like they found a father far from home. And he would catch the attention of senior managers in management teams. We completed the project successfully, and I moved on to the next phase of my life. And at that stage, my career was escalating exponentially. It was like I was going up the beanstalk faster than Jack did, faster than you could ever do on a career ladder. And I owe that to the time that I spent with Meneer, who I now realize that he was my mentor. I learned a few things from him, which was to master my trade, acknowledge that I work with people around me, and that as a leader, sometimes you'd be required to learn, listen, and allow yourself to be led. To that, I owe to Meneer Cloete, whose hands I happen to land, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Mpendulo, for that speech. What I picked from that speech is that in terms of time management, you have to shift from activities to results. So as we're doing those projects, you are looking at the results. What are the results? And through that process, you split your urgent and important things to those that are not important. And then you refocus yourself, you put all your energy in those activities so that you manage your time effectively. Our next speaker is Muchama Nyangavana, and she'll be evaluated by Gamchirai Mtezo. Mucha is delivering on Project 3, Innovative Planning, present a proposal. Gamu, can you please give us the objectives of that speech?
Certainly. And once again, a very warm good evening to everyone. Mucha's purpose statement is very nice and simple. It is for her to practice developing and presenting a proposal. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
As Mucha comes to the virtual stage, his speech is called How to Keep Party Crashers at Bay. Mucha is a member of Mariswe Toastmasters. She's a sergeant at arms, and she is very fervent about human rights and specifically children rights. She's also somebody who watches her time by planning, having goals, and make sure that she executes those goals. Help me to welcome onto the virtual stage Mucha with a speech titled How to Keep Party Crashers at Bay. How to keep party crashers at bay. Over to you, Mucha.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Just want to see if you can see, I'm sharing my screen. Can you all see it?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. My project proposal will be on how we can have a foolproof Zoom meeting at Mariswe Toastmasters. For years, Toastmasters has created a platform people meet, come together to learn, speak, and grow. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and visitors. With the advent of the coronavirus, Zoom quickly became the go-to tool for remote teams, teachers, and pretty much everyone who need a little face-to-face, even virtually. Of course, Toastmasters, like the vast majority of people doing online meetings, it shouldn't come as a surprise that hackers have gone to work. Apparently, one of their favorite new tricks is to crash your Zoom party. In some cases, the party crashers aren't just there to snoop on your meeting or family reunion. They are there taking over and sharing inappropriate material. A few an invited and unwelcome party crasher on our platform who tried to disrupt the meeting in progress by playing loud music, sending laughter and disruptive screams. Although the host, who is also the president of Mariswe, quickly resolved and kicked out the pranksters, this invasion momentarily caused a bit of discomfort to all in attendance. At Mariswe Toastmasters, our vision is to increase our membership to a minimum of about 20 by the end of the current year. One of our goals is for members to invite guests to our meetings. We are attracting new membership through social media, and we have had guests and visitors coming due to our social presence, thanks to our VPPR's work. So without having to compromise the visitors and guests who genuinely would like to be part of the meeting and find out more about Toastmasters, I believe we can have a foolproof meeting and the hackers out. I'll give a general outline of how to avoid pranksters, although some of the information may not relate to us at Mariswe Toastmasters, but it is helpful in hosting virtual meetings nonetheless. My proposal seeks to improve or enhance the existing setup and demonstrate how securing Zoom meetings can benefit our organization and for those who are also visiting. So with my research, I got some help from www.dznet. And I just hope that my slides will be in chronological order. The first step is password protect your meetings. It is important to have passwords so that not just anyone can enter into your meetings. Passwords can be set at the individual meeting, user, group, or account level, or sessions. Another thing is authenticate all users. It's not very easy, but it is important to authenticate anyone who is coming into your meeting. So when creating a new event, you would choose to only allow signed-in users to participate. Log down your meeting. Once the session has begun, as the host, head over to the log your meeting as soon as everyone expected has arrived. So this will prevent others from joining even if the meeting ID or even if they have the meeting ID or have access details. So it is important for guests and members to be on time for meetings to avoid being logged out. Because sometimes people join into the meeting much later and we cannot verify if they've been invited or if they are pranksters. Turn off participant screen sharing, and this is very important. No one wants to be to be subjected to unpleasant material shared by a Zoom bomber. And so disabling the ability for meeting attendees to share their screens is worthwhile. So this option can be accessed from the new security tab and the active sessions. Make use of waiting rooms. We have waiting rooms right now for our meetings. It enables you to see who is coming into the meeting. Just going back to the meeting of the previous week, yours truly is the SAA and co-host of the meeting. I allowed 2 participants that I was not sure of. Indeed, if someone is labeled as LOL, I'm supposed to send red flags. In the waiting room, you can look at the name of the person. Do you think this person has been invited? Do you think they are a guest? Are they a member? Then if you can have a choice to remove or to admit. You can remove nuisance attendees if you find that someone is disrupting a meeting. And it's easy to just kick them out, because on the participant tab, when you click there, there's an option where it says more. You can remove, or you can rejoin someone who has been disabled, who was not supposed to have been removed. I remember the previous meeting I'm talking about, I think we removed someone who was invited, and we had to rejoin them into the meeting. But because we were not sure who was making the particular noise, as it was so disruptive. So it is easier to just kick out the people like we did the last meeting, thanks to our president. One of the things that I think can really work for us at Mariswe is the VPPR. If they want to adopt this, although it is quite a cumbersome experience because no one is full-time at Toastmasters. If it was possible not to send the IDs publicly, so instead of sharing the link on the social platform, it would be better to ask those one interested on joining the meeting to DM or message directly to the person who is in charge of the page, and then they get a personal link for them to join the meeting. So share meeting invites responsibly, use unique meeting IDs, require passwords for everything, and turn off screen sharing, and you are on your way to stress-free meetings. Thank you very much. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Mucha, for that speech. You gave a chronological order of how we can keep the Zoom bombers at bay. For those who attended the last meeting, you saw what the Zoom bombers did, disrupting our meeting. And this is the sure proof of ensuring that we keep them at bay. Thank you so much for that speech. One area that you touched on is on time management. When you're doing time management, you have to eat the big frog first. So when you've got a big problem, attack that problem that is closer to you. And then once we've completed that big task, you can go to the other tasks that are not of significant importance. So that's what you gave us. We have to reflect on how we are using our time. Look at those key activities that will bring the best results and attack those activities so that we become better, so that we can achieve our goals. Time management is a conscious approach to how we live our life. We need to relook at our lives and say, what are those key things that we need to do? Thank you so much for that speech. I would like to thank all the speakers for those great speeches that they gave us. And obviously, we look forward to you delivering your next speech so that you manage the time and you achieve your objectives by the end of the Toastmasters season. Now, let me go back to our timekeeper to give a chronological order of the speakers in terms of their time management skills. Over to you, Swangile.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. My timers report for the prepared speeches is as follows. Leighton, you had 4 to 6 minutes. You used 8.50 minutes. Mpendulo, you had 5 to 7 minutes. You used 50.57 seconds. Mucha, you had 5 to 7 minutes. You used 7:36 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Swangelo, for that chronological order in which you gave us the time. The difference between where you are and where you want to go is time. How are you applying your time? Audit your time daily and focus on the results. Start with the end in mind. As a Toastmaster, I'm now calling for 10-minute break, which means we should be back in the next 10 minutes by 12 past. Have that comfort break, and we'll be back at 12 past for the table topics. Thank you.
Time is ticking. I need to take action on my ideas. Is that correct? You were breaking a letter.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. As the saying goes, procrastination is the thief of time. At times, we often set the goals and never get to action them because there are things that just come and want us to attend to them, and we keep procrastination and put other things aside. So it is important to be organized and list everything that you feel that you want to achieve in chronological order in their priority, and commit to one thing at the time. I know there's a saying that you can multitask, but in essence, at times that is not particularly multitasking. You're just switching between tasks. And when you switch between tasks, you tend to put aside another task, which might take a lot of time for it to be finished. So it is best to deal with one thing at the time, see it to its completion, then do the next thing. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you very much, Xoliswa. I see our evaluators are back, but I would like to take one more table topic. Any volunteers from the floor that would like to take on the last evaluation topic? Anyone? No one is keen?
I can take it.
Thank you, Mpendulo. Speaker and table topic speaker. Okay, here's the last topic. Mpendulo. Nothing is a waste of time if you use the experience wisely. Nothing is a waste of time if you use the experience wisely. Mpendulo.
Thank you. Of course, nothing is a waste of time if you're going to use that experience wisely, which is why earlier on our Toastmaster was saying we should manage our time efficiently and watch the time as it's ticking and what is it that you've done. Whatever you're doing, and at any time, if it's going to build up to something that you're growing, which is experience, and then that experience, as you get it, you use it wisely. And what does wisely mean? It means you use it again to build towards where you want to go. Therefore, it's just a mathematical equation. Nothing is a waste of time if you're going to take that knowledge, whatever it is that you've gotten from using that out of that time, use that experience wisely. It will build up to where you're going. So nothing is a waste of time. You're going to use the experience wisely. So be sure to use the experience wisely. Don't waste the time on just doing anything. Over to you, Madam.
Thank you so much, Bendulo, for that impromptu speech. And thank you to all our volunteers this evening. Move swiftly along in the agenda. I would like us to move on to the evaluation session and introduce to you to our evaluation chair, who's going to lead the evaluation session for the rest of the meeting. Karen, over to you.
Hi again. I'd just like to start with saying that we evaluate the speech and not the speaker. We use evaluations to learn and improve, and that's why constructive evaluations are always helpful. So we touch on areas where someone's excelled, and then things to work on and areas to grow. I'd like to introduce my first evaluator, and that is Rick Robenheimer, who is evaluating Lighten's speech, A Journey into My Career. Rick Robenheimer.
Thank you, Madam Evaluations Chair. And particularly Lighten, if you're able to show your video, that would be nice. Lighten, welcome to Toastmasters. Thank you for your icebreaker. Thank you for plunging in and breaking the ice and giving us, as Enias has already well overused today, in chronological order, your career progress, starting even before your career with your parents. An interesting career. It was, shall I say, humble of you to put forward where you felt you'd fallen down, where you felt you'd fallen behind, and to admit that sort of thing freely. That speaks well of a speaker when they're willing to look at themselves and criticize themselves as well. A well-delivered speech. There are certain things that you will learn in Toastmasters that will come gradually. I'll mention a few of them, but you'll learn more of them as we go further. So don't be disheartened. Take this as an encouragement, and we always have more to learn. A few things you can do then. One would be to, if you stand preferably, if you can't stand, then sit further back from the camera, because we'd like to see at least the top half of your body so that when you make gestures, we can see them. Your speaking was clear and well audible, so that was good. Let me just check anything else that I want to add from the form. Yes, a bit more planning, please, and a bit more rehearsing. So you gave us a very detailed speech, and that was very interesting, but where you fell down was on the timing. It's a 4 to 6 minute speech, and you went pretty much double that, nearly 9 minutes. So we don't penalize you for it, but we do say, watch the timing in future, practice a few times, and here's a tip: practice to finish a minute before the official end of the speech. So a 6 minute speech, practice to speak in 5 minutes, because what will happen when you're speaking is in front of an audience, one tends to go slower, and that will give you the precise timing for the speech. With that, welcome again to Toastmasters. Well done on taking the plunge, and we look forward to your next speech. Thank you, Lighten.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Rick, and well done, Lighten. That's the hard job done, right? Tick. The next speech was Mpendulo with In the Hands of a Mentor, and I will be evaluating her speech. So well done, Mpendulo. I really loved the story of, that you told of your mentor and how he had such a great impact on your life, and the tips that he gave you as a leader to learn, listen, and allow to be led. I felt like that's really helpful even for me. He sounded like a really great guy. Sounds like a really great guy. He also said that you must master your trade and acknowledge your people. And I loved that advice. It was really quite moving. The analogies you used, graduation hangover, I thought that was phenomenal. I'm definitely going to use that. And true son of soil, really, really great. You wanted me to look at your gestures, and there were some really good ones. Then there were some where you mentioned 1 and 2, but your gestures didn't really say that, so you could maybe say 1 or 2. And then there were parts where you tended to overuse them a bit. And I think that's because you were focusing on gestures that you use them. So my guidance would be just to use them as necessary when it makes sense. And then also maybe to put your phone in a landscape position, because often they got cut off on the side because of it being portraits. Your vocal variety, which is something that you asked me to look at as well, was on point. And I loved how you used the climbing up the beanstalk movements as an analogy. That was really good. I'd like to challenge you to just be careful of other movements that you make, because you made a few sort of like jumpy around movements, which can be a little bit distracting. But all in all, I loved the tips. I loved how your mentor impacted your life in a positive way, and how you ended with those tips, because it gave all of us here really manageable chunks of information that we can take and learn ourselves. So thank you so much, and I look forward to your next speech. Sorry, I'm not done yet. Back again. Our next speech was How to Keep Party Crashes at Bay by Mucha, and our evaluator is Gamuchirai Matezu. Over to you.
Mucha, you're looking like the first day you delivered your icebreaker. Not to worry. In fact, we were just laughing about how at times some speeches are delivered so well you have to look for areas of improvement. So yes, we had to look for areas of improvement. So put a smile on your face because you delivered a really great speech. That's right. That's the smile we're talking about. Firstly, the title of your speech was super on point. Very, very much relatable, because it's something that we went through. It is tangible, and it is very much showcasing how proactive you are as a Sergeant at Arms, right? It's also a relevant topic, not just to us as Mariswe Toastmasters Club or any other Toastmasters Club, but we can take the pointers that you've shared with us back to our schools, our workplaces, and be a bit more conscious, especially when we ourselves are Zoom masters. I absolutely appreciated your intro, where you start off by acknowledging what is happening globally, narrowing it down further to the issues, cybersecurity issues with regards to the Zoom bombers. And at first, when I thought party crashes, but we're not having parties. How? Oh, right, Zoom, yes. So it certainly maintains that aspect of relevance. And it also just tied in with the vision and the mission of what we want to achieve as Mariswe Toastmasters Club, saying that even to all our guests who are here, we want you to feel at home. We want you to come and enjoy the meetings without having to worry of what could pop up, if a lull can pop up. So I'm sure the guests were also able to see how serious we are about giving them a wonderful experience. You gave us 6 steps that we can keep in mind, you explained them, and again, those are steps that we will be able to take home with us, and that's the type of impact that your speech had. And also, you gave us an option to consider as Exco, whether we want to share a link versus asking those who are interested to DM. Whatever the decision may be, at least that's another example of you being proactive. You asked me to look at two key things, which was firstly good lighting and use of body language. So the lighting was on point today. Well done on that. Use of body language, it was there, although it seemed a bit conflicted in terms of you controlling the screen, which looked as though you're looking down. So you may have been pressing next, next, next slide, but at the same time, depending on how one actually views it, it could be body language that's just limited to shifting the slides, right? And the last area of improvement would be looking at the design of your slides. It's the color palette. Red, yellow somehow does things, more so given that we are constricted to smaller screens such as our laptops. So if you are to deliver the same speech elsewhere, consider playing around with the colors such that they're not too harsh on the eye. But overall, like I said, you should be smiling because it really was a wonderful, wonderful speech. Thanks once again, Mucha, and back to you, Madam Evaluation Chair.
Thank you, Gamu.
Well done, Mucha. I even told Mucha that will make a great blog post.
Agreed.
Great. Agreed, yeah. Okay, so if I could please call on our timekeeper to give us the timekeeper's report.
Karen. I'll start with the table topics, if that's okay.
Perfect.
Carol, the time for the table topics was between 1 and 2 minutes. Caroline, you had 1 minute 42 seconds. Natalie, 1 minute 19 seconds. Oliswa, 1 minute 40 seconds. Mpendulo, 1 minute 28 seconds. And for the evaluators, they had 2 to 3 minutes. Rick, you used 2 minutes 49 seconds. Karen, you used 2 minutes 32 seconds. Gamu, you used 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Sibongile. Before I move on to our next report, I just want to alert everyone in the chat, there's a link. If you can please complete that link, you will just vote for the best speech, evaluator, and table topics. If I could please call on Edith to do our council report. Edith, are you there?
Can our counters report, I will leave Ineas as he requested. And okay, my report is as follows. Caroline had 1 hour, and I don't know how to pronounce this. As she was talking, I could pick, there was a lot of, and Rick had 1, and Lighten had 2 arms. Karen had 3 hours and 3 and the way you use and to transition from one point to the other, I think that was used a lot by a lot of speakers who were, I think, trying not to use or the other filler words. They pulled the end to connect to the next thought. Bendule had 3 and 2 hours. Mucha had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 arms. Gamu had 1 hour. Busi had 3 arms. Natalie had 2. arms, 3 and the connecting end, and I'm using the end as well. So Lisa had 2 ends and 3 arms, and I could not pick anything from Sbongile. And Enias, as he spoke most, had a lot of ends connecting one thought to another, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 arms. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Edith.
Thank you.
Tanaka, if you could please give us your Wordmasters report.
Certainly, Karen. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And this evening, I was very impressed in terms of how all the members were able to use the word of the day. I will say that our Toastmaster this evening definitely took the cup home. He used the word of the day 5 times. I did note that Mpendulo used it once, Mucha used it once, Busisiwe also once, Caroline twice, Koliswa once, and also Rick once. I did notice just one improper use of the English language when Layton was delivering his speech, where he said, I did wrote a few papers. A suggestion would be to say I wrote several articles. I did also notice good use of the English language, Mpendulo, where she referred to her mentor as the true son of the soil. I thought that was very good in terms of imagery and use of the English language. Rick also said plunging into the ice, referring to Layton's icebreaker. And then Pendula also used a great analogy, graduation hangover. Overall, I believe that everyone was able to articulate themselves in a very clear manner. There were not a lot of grammatical errors, and I commend you on using the word of the day. That concludes my report as grammarian. Over to you, Karen.
Thanks, Tanaka. And I hope the blood's not rushing to your head upside down like that. Great. Well, that concludes my part of this session. So I hand back control to our presidents, Rick Rogenhammer.
Thank you, Madam Evaluations Chair. Well done. A round of applause for Karen, please. We aren't quite ready with voting yet because I see we still have some holdouts. We have 19 participants here. Judith, by the way, sends her apologies, but she can't manage a whole meeting yet, so she has left, but we have been joined by Cage Corbero. Welcome, Cage. Good to see you at the meeting after a while, after I invited you. We have 12 responses so far. I can't vote, so we have some 6 people who can still vote. You don't have to be a Mariswe Toastmaster to vote. Your very presence here allows you to do that. Please vote, whether you're a visitor, whether you're visiting Toastmaster, that is, or a guest, or a Mariswe Toastmaster. Doesn't matter. You can all vote, so please do. And therefore, in the meanwhile, while we are waiting for the remaining votes to come in, a point. Any points that people would like to raise? This is your time to speak up. Thank you, Karen. You're up first.
Thank you. We need a new testimonial for March. So, Natalie, what are you trying to hide? I can see you. So if you're feeling like you don't want to do a video testimonial, you can send a written testimonial and we can make it into a blog post. The videos work really, really well on social media. So if you feel like you want to do video, I would move you into that direction. But if you're not confident or comfortable yet, happy to do a written one. It's just really to spread the word on your Toastmasters experience so that we can share our different experiences with people who haven't yet joined Toastmasters. Thank you.
Just remind us how long it needs to be, or remind me.
1 to 2 minutes is max. Okay.
Thank you, Karen. I would add to that that if you are the kind of person who writes your speeches out rather than doing them off the cuff, then give Karen the transcript as well, please. Then we can use that as a blog post too.
Absolutely. And the idea was, sorry, I'm just going to jump in there. The idea was that, you know, either we share blog posts around our Toastmasters experience, or we also share our knowledge, because we're presenting, we're doing all of this research and we're gaining so much knowledge. So why not share it with others as well? Thank you.
Absolutely. And the other thing that has been suggested, you might find this a little more scary. Again, if you're somebody who writes out your speech before giving it, which is perhaps something to recommend, consider turning the speech into a blog post. That's a longer blog post, of course, and you might need to trim it. However, that's a useful addition to our website, particularly if you're doing something that's of wider value, and very often our speeches are something of wider value. Most of the speeches tonight, I think, would have been, for example. Anything else on a point?
Club contest.
Thank you. That was going to be my point. Do you want to say something, Lucy, or should I?
Oh, just reminding you, I thought you forgot.
No, okay. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the event of the year, hosted by none other than yours truly, your club president, will be the club contest at the very next meeting in 2 weeks' time, 9th of March. Please diarise that. Easy to remember because the day of the month is exactly the same next month as this month, on account of February having 28 days. We could do with a speaker or two more. There has been a suggestion that we might have a combined contest with some of the other clubs in Area H2. They are Fourth Dimension and Bryanston Breakfast Club. We're now down to 3 clubs in our area, which is interesting. And if they feel that they don't have enough for a full contest, then they might send a speaker along to practice, or perhaps 2 speakers to compete against each other, something like that. We haven't finalized the format yet. But bear in mind that we now don't have a table topics contest. We don't have an evaluation contest, which we would normally have, which would make it a long evening. Instead, we just have the speaking contest. We can probably take about 6 speakers, maybe even 7 if we shoehorn them in. Please apply. All you need to do is look over your speeches of the last year or so, or in fact your whole Toastmasters career for that matter, if you like, and pick out a speech that you enjoyed giving, or that you had fun with, or that you just thought was a good example of your speeches, and come and give that again. It doesn't have to be unique. It doesn't have to be especially written for the contest. And in fact, if you've done it before, then you can hone it a little bit more based on your previous experience. So, let's have your speeches, please. I'm your contest chair, so let me have your applications, please, or to Lucy, or just on the Mariswe Toastmasters group. Let's have the speakers. Now, to move the limelight slightly aside for a moment, we don't just need speakers. We have a full house of judges, and they're anonymous, so I can only tell you the chief judge, who is Jill Barnett, who has very kindly put together the panel. But we need people from the club to fill all sorts of roles. We need 2 sergeants at arms. We need 2 timekeepers so that they can back each other up in case we have interruptions. we need 2 tally counters. Which roles am I forgetting, Bussy? I think that's most of it.
Sergeant at Arms.
I mentioned them.
Yeah, that's it.
So here's your chance to score some extra points by taking a role at the club contest. Remember, the points for taking roles also apply to club contest. So don't be shy. This is your chance to try and catch up with Ennius or even with me, which is a bit easier. Let's have some volunteers for roles if you don't want to do a speech. First prize, I think, is doing a speech, and that gets you the most points. But if you like doing a speech, be a sergeant at arms, be a tally counter, we need all those roles as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, that I think is my honor point. Any other honor point? Going once, going twice. In which case, we have 17 responses. We've got one person holding out still, but I'm afraid I'm going to cut you off now because I'm going to close the voting and announce our winners of the speaking for tonight. Firstly, our table topic speaker, the famous 3-legged pot around which we gather and tell tall tales and do impromptu speeches, awarded this evening to a guest, Caroline Mokwena. Caroline, please virtually receive your trophy.
Well done.
Well done, Caroline. Then we have Best Evaluator, and for evaluation we have this magnificent trophy showing us uplifting others. Remember, our theme for the year is each one, and this trophy symbolizes that beautifully. Our Best Evaluator for the evening. I swear one day I'm going to win this, but it's not tonight. Is Kamuchirai Mutezo. Kamuchirai, your trophy. A round of applause for Kamuchirai. And for the pièce de résistance, as the French people say when they have got a bad accent, our speaker of the evening. Our best speaker is, let's have a drum roll, please, just to get a bit of excitement up. Also to give me time to make sure I'm getting the right one. Mpendulo Ganinza. Mpendulo, your trophy. Well done. And for the runners-up like me, try again next time. Ladies and gentlemen, last chance for any points. So thank you, Karen. Very good. Nice background there. Well done. Upside down too. Right. Yes. Fine. Good. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, remember contest. It's your chance to shine, your chance to practice. It's your chance to perhaps go all the way to world champion of public speaking. Somebody has to get there. Why not you? Think about it. Thank you for attending. You've made the meeting tonight. You not only made the meeting by being here, but you have made it a successful, happy meeting, another great meeting of Mariswe Toastmasters. Thank you for attending, our guests. And perhaps could I have a little feedback from one or two of our guests or visitors before we close? Anybody like to tell us if they enjoyed the meeting, how they found it, how they felt about it? Emmanuel, thank you.
Yes, I think it's been a great experience, and I've really learned a lot. And I'm sure I'm never going to miss the next sessions again. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. VPM, make sure you've got his details.
And good luck with the wedding.
All are
Anybody
invited.
else?
Yes, just me. I just want to thank Mucha for that presentation, because I've been to a meeting where the Zoom bombers visited, and it's very unsettling. So I will take down this very informative information, okay, and then share it with our club members, especially the person who's in charge of the Zoom, because when I tell them, it does not, they have not experienced it yet. So if it's happening quite often, so we need to do something. Thank you so much for sharing the information, Mucha.
Thank you, Edith. And yes, that was a very appropriate and well-timed speech, because the Sergeant at Arms, Mucha, is responsible for keeping the Zoom bombers out if possible. And so she drew on our experience and gave us a wonderful thing there. I will mention that we are recording, and we will put the recording, a link to the recording up for a while on the Mariswe Toastmasters WhatsApp group. If you're not a member of the group, just communicate with one of the club members so they can add you to the group, and then you can get the link and you can actually download the video for your Zoom master to watch that presentation if they want to. One more piece of feedback before we close from a guest or a visitor.
Hi, Rick. Can I say something?
Yes, please, Sibongile.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite to Enias. I really enjoyed the meeting today. It was the first time I'm timing using visual background, so I really do apologize for the little bit chit and facts there, but I really enjoyed the meeting, and I'm looking forward to taking more of these roles in the future. So thank you so much.
Thank you, and you'll always be welcome as long as you're not Zoom bombing us. Right. Good night all. Again, thank you for attending. Thank you for making the meeting. Well done. See you at the club contest in 2 weeks' time. Go Mariswe.